I can see the trees. Are those birds? Oh, very nice.
No, they're my doggies with wings
those
and
your-
unicorn horns.
Ah,
And that's all.
okay.
And I also made a protea at school, which is the national flower.
Well, that's right. It is the national flower. Fantastic. Do you know what the national animal is? Do any of you guys know what the national animal is?
Blue crane. Oh wait, that's the
Well, that's the
bird.
national bird. Yes.
Springbok.
Very good, Sharon.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Mr. Hansma. I didn't hear you there. That's right, the springbuck. Well done. Oof. Somebody's been paying attention at school and listening to all the heritage discussions as well. Nice.
Anita, can we start, please?
Sure. Paul, do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Sure. So, namaste, everybody, and a warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to this Virtual Bridge series and with a special focus on Youth Day. Thank you very much to Karnapur for putting together our wonderful guest panelists. Thank you very much to all of you attending for giving up your afternoon to spend it with us in discussion. We look forward to you participating and offering up your suggestions and discussion points. Let us start, of course, with prayer. So let me lead you in the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur-bhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Thank you, everybody. So for the first session today, we have 3 young panelists. So welcome to them. Welcome to Sanchi, to Kashfi, and to Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. And the panel is going to be hosted by Karnapur. So welcome to Pua as well. Pua, over to you.
Thank you very much, Manita. Friends, our virtual bridge series heard a lot of experts on many current issues to look at what is happening in the world today. And our theme was finding meaning in the current context. Now, all our thinking from last year to now would be incomplete if we do not hear the views, the concerns, the interests of the younger generation, of the future of the Arya Samaj. So today we're going to hear the voices of the future. And I hope that we're going to learn a lot from them in this ever-changing world we live in. Now, the Arya Samaj has had a youth league since the early 70s. And many of the youth that attended the yoga camps and the Sunday satsangs and participated in the Aryan Youth League are actually now in the leadership of the Arya Samaj. So they've become the old generation. And we know that today is a public holiday. It is June 16th in recognition of all the youth in South Africa whose actions changed the shape of our country. And today we are all part of a free South Africa. Many of our participants on the panels today were born in free South Africa. They're the born frees. My generation delivered freedom, the vote, and new policies for South Africa. The future is really in the hands of the youth. And to celebrate Youth Day, we decided to give this platform to the youth to speak their minds, share their views. And our first session is going to be with the future members who are under 10 years old. Manita did say it's Sanchi, Sharan, Arya, and Kashvi. They're my grandnieces and my grandnephew. And so they're probably going to call me Nani, but I can tell them now that they're allowed to call me Karuna if they feel comfortable with it. Umesh, can we just show the APS announcement, the Vedjyoti announcement, because I'd like to share with everybody that from the virtual bridge session, we have shared with the APS our water session, and the current Vedjyoti that is out has a whole article on it. Now, in terms of the Vedjyoti, I think all of you know it's our journal, it's our main publication, it's the voice of the Arya Samaj, and it was founded by Pandit Nardev. And we're calling on people to please send in their memories of Pandit Nardev and how he shaped their lives in whatever way. So look out for that, and look out for the Vedjyoti, which is going to be on which is currently on the Arya Samaj website and also on Facebook. So to send your memories of Pandit Nardev, we're suggesting that you share with us 150 words and send it to admin@aryasamaj.sa.org. The deadline for it is the 30th of June. Can we scroll down, please, Umesh? To the next page, please. Thank you. So the Vedjyoti is available on the Arya Samaj website, and you can all see that the website address. Obviously, you've given quite generously to the Arya Samaj all along the way, but we are currently taking the Vedjyoti to households. It's distributed with the Rising Sun, particularly in Phoenix and Chatsworth. And so it goes to any household in the area, not necessarily to the Arya Samaj families or Hindu families. It goes to all race groups. And should you feel like sponsoring us on the paper, on the printing, on the distribution, please do make a contribution to us. To get our banking details, please get hold of our office, or you can write to admin@aryasamaj.sa.org. There are spare copies of Vedjyoti, so if you do want them, they're available in the office. And please do share the Vedjyoti on social media with your friends. Thank you. With that, I'd like to now start the first panel. And basically, we have Sharan, we have Kashvi, and we have Sanchi, who are there. And I know you all at school. So can you tell us what you like about school? Who wants to go first? Kashvi, go for it. Unmute yourself.
For school, my favorite subjects are maths and art. I love school. It's very fun sometimes. We do lots of fun activities. We have Fun Friday every 2 weeks. I have lots of friends, and all the teachers are so kind.
Great. What grade are you in?
I'm in grade 4.
Good.
At St. Catherine's.
At St. Catherine's. Okay. Sharan?
My favorite subjects at school are maths, robotics, and art.
Wow. That's very nice. So you're going to build us a new robot, an artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Good. Please make sure there's something that cleans my house, okay? I don't like housework. Okay, Sanchi, do you want to share what you like about school?
Yes, my favorite thing is about school is learning. My favorite subject is math and art.
Yeah.
I like my teacher a lot. She's very kind, and I like learning new math sums like the gel sum.
Okay, that's very nice.
And
So,
I also play the recorder and violin.
at school,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so now Sharan plays soccer and he likes cricket, is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
so can the girls tell us what sport you like?
I like netball and swimming. And I play the flute and piano.
Okay. Sanchi?
I like hockey a lot and the batting and fielding.
Oh, okay. So Sharan, what's the best thing about soccer?
Having fun.
Having fun. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna tell us something about soccer. Tell us, who is your favorite soccer player
Virgil van Dijk.
and why is he your favorite player?
Because he's very good and he plays the same position I play.
Which is?
Central defender.
Ah, okay. All right, so now we're going to ask you all, the girls told us, Sharan, they like to play, they play the piano, the recorder, the violin, and the flute. Now you tell us, what music do you like?
I play the guitar.
You do? Wow. Okay. And what music do you like? Justin Bieber?
No, I don't.
No,
No.
no, I don't like him either. Okay, let's move on to something more interesting than school and what hobbies you do and what Sanchi showed everybody her crafts. Let's talk about something else that's more important. Now, can you tell us, what is God?
God is omnipresent and he is invisible. Omnipresent means that he is everywhere.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
God created us.
Mhm. Okay.
God is everything and everybody.
Right. So Sharan, you tell us, what is your favorite mantra?
The mealtime prayer.
You want to say it for us so we can all know we've said it today, and then when we have supper, we won't say it again.
Okay. Om Anapate Anasyano Dehi Haname Pasya Shushmina Prapra Dataram Tarish Ujanu Dehi Dvipate Tatishpate Om Shanti 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 Om.
Okay. Kashvi, do you want to share your favorite mantra?
I have quite a few, but I'll just say one. Tumeva Mata Jasita Tumeva Tumeva Bandhu Jasaka Tumeva Tumeva Vidya Taminam Tumeva Tumeva Saram Deva Deva Shanti.
Sanchi, do you want to share your favorite mantra?
Yes. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviduvarenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya.
Okay. Now, this is really great. So We all know different mantras and we all like one mantra, right? Which is the most important mantra?
I think it's the Gayatri mantra.
Okay.
Maybe Om Bhubraswaha?
Yes, it's correct. Okay, so now I think, Kashvi, you wanted to share something with us about Shiva and what we can learn from this to preserve the environment. Do you want to tell us that?
Yes, I have a speech and a little presentation.
Please go ahead. Kashvi, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Namaste. The foundation of Hinduism is built on the belief in one formless God. However, Hinduism has another colorful and fascinating side, the side of legends and deities. One such legend is that which has to do with Shiva, one of the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Shiva is known as the destroyer, as he removes all evil from the world. He has a blue neck because, according to Hindu legend, he swallowed poison in order to save the universe. Lord Shiva is often seen in the Himalaya mountains, seated on a tiger's skin, deep in meditation. He has a cobra snake around his neck, which represents the ego, so it doesn't find space within the body, and the holy Ganga flowing down from his matted hair to prevent impending destruction. Shiva formed a third eye from which fire emerged to recreate light in order to save the world. This is shown by the 3 lines on his forehead. We need to show our love, appreciation, and dedication by preserving all that he saved and sacrificed for us. We must stop polluting our lakes, rivers, seas, land with plastic and such litter, thereby respecting Mother Ganga and our environment. We need to also stop destroying forests, rainforest, jungles, etc. for our own selfish needs to get more land and build more. We are destroying God's animals and beautiful creations for our own selfish materialistic needs. We have to preserve all of this for us and the generations of children to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kashvi. That was a very beautiful little speech you wrote and the presentation you did. And your artwork is excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Good. I'm now going to ask Swami Vedanand to unmute himself and to comment on the session.
Namaste. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Swamiji.
Namaste, everybody, and a very, very special namaste to my 3 darlings, Sanchi, Sharan, Arya, and Kashvi. I tell you, you leave me so speechless because all I want to do is just listen to the 3 of you. You know, just listening to your favorite mantras, reciting the mantras, how you enjoy school, and this beautiful presentation which you just showed us, Kashvi, you know, makes me think that we can be proud that the future of Hinduism, as we know, is in such beautiful hands, because you describe such a beautiful mythology using your interest and beauty in art, but also can see how we take this and save our environment. How we can take these beautiful stories, the Gayatri mantra that you all said is one of the most important mantras. And it's so good because as you recite these mantras, every day when you're in school, when you're out there, remember what is the mantra teaching you? The mantra is teaching you to respect everything around you, to remember that you've got to use your own knowledge and intellect, right? Remember, you go to school to gain that knowledge, but you got to use that knowledge for the benefit of everybody. You got to use your skills. I see all of you play violin, flute, piano. I wish I could play these things. So you have such beautiful talents. And I'm proud that you can use these talents for the betterment of yourself, your families, and your communities. So each time you, when you're at school, I want you to take the opportunity to teach others around the benefit of what it means to live life beautifully, righteously, to protect the environment, to use your talent so that we can keep the culture alive. I see you've got violin, flute, and piano. All of that are also good tools to also learn the Indian instruments like the tabla, the veena, the sarod, etc. So here's a deal I want to make with you, right? When I come up to, I'm assuming most of you are in Johannesburg. Am I correct?
No, Sanchi is in Pietermaritzburg, but she's moving to Evander soon.
She's moving to?
Kashvi and Sharan are here in Joburg.
Acha, TK. Where's Sanchi moving to?
Evander in Mpumalanga.
Acha. Okay, I got to make a plan to come and see you in Pietermaritzburg. I'm right around the corner, Sanchi. But for both Sharan and Kashvi, when I come to Johannesburg, right, we're going to make a bhajan group with the both of you leading us with the instruments, right? And I want you all to tell me exactly how you see that you can be part of our projects up there, because when we come up there, we're going to start projects and I want you all involved in, especially when it comes to the environment and how we can take all these beautiful mantras that you like, the food prayer, Sharan, that you recited. That food prayer says how we need to protect our animals, how we need to protect everything, all those who have lovingly given us the food, where the food came from, how we care for our plants. So we're going to go deeper. So when you go out to your friends, you can tell them how to respect. Next time they don't throw their dirt or their litter out, they can respect everything around them. And you all can be ambassadors for Hinduism, ambassadors for your school, ambassadors for your family, and ambassadors for the community. But know that we all are proud of you and we expect great things from you. Keep up the good work. And I look forward to seeing all of you in Johannesburg. And Sanchi, I look forward to seeing you in Pietermaritzburg.
Thank you, Swamiji. Manita, do you want to announce the next session?
Sure, Pua, thank you. I beg your pardon. I failed to mention and to welcome senior members of National Arya Samaj, Swamiji specifically, senior members of Arya Samaj Gauteng as well. So welcome everybody. Thanks again. I want to say thank you very much to Sanchi, to Kashvi, and to Sharan. Thank you very much for sharing your opinions, for educating us. And I also want to say to their parents, to their grandparents, to take a bow, because children are raised by a village. And I think that it's not often enough that we give credit to the work and the people that are these instruments for change and these wonderful ambassadors. So well done to them, and well done to their mums, dads, families that are behind them. It's an encouraging start. So that was our first session. Thank you very much. We move on then to the next session, which is focused on the future. Its title is "The Future is Ours to Shape."
Manita,
and
we're doing Vashiv first. We're doing some interesting things.
Okay, so we can Vashiv, I beg your pardon, Vashiv. So yes, welcome. Thank you very much. Are you with us?
I am with you guys.
Thank you. Welcome. So we're doing interesting things is the title of the next session, and we're really excited to hear from you. Thank you very much for spending Youth Day with us as well.
Okay.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Vashib. 1 minute, Vashib, before you start. I think we just need to say that Vashib is in high school. It's his first year in high school. And I gave him a set of questions to have a discussion with me. But because the two of us talk so much, he's decided to actually, he wrote a presentation out and he wants to deliver some his thoughts to all of you. So go ahead, Vashib.
Okay, namaste. We are doing some interesting things. Firstly, one needs to address a certain perception that many adults have of the University of California. The issue of whether kids these days are different to those of previous generations. There seems to be a general perception that kids these days are in decline, looking especially at three traits: and reading. Authoritarian people especially think the youth are less respectful of their elders. Intelligent people especially think the youth are less intelligent, while read people especially think the youth don't enjoy reading. This is not the reality, but a perception that such adults have of young persons. The reality is that over the decades, if not centuries, young persons have been no less respectful. But as time has progressed around the world, the youth has become more and more outspoken and more vocal about what they believe is right and what they think should be happen. An example in recent times, as reported by National Geographic, is that of the youth in over 200 countries across the globe who engaged in strikes calling for adults to take on action against climate change. This is a sharp contrast to the image of youth in generations gone by, where they are expected to be seen but not heard. So as the youth, we are doing some interesting things. Trotsky studies were conducted, however, in an American setting. Closer to home in warm, sunny South Africa, it is especially significant on this day to remember that it was the youth who achieved what adults failed to accomplish over scores of years, namely turning apartheid on its head and making the entire world turn its head to South Africa. This at the tremendous cost to their schooling and even their own lives. The youth uprising on June 16, 1976 in Soweto, which soon spread across the country, may well have been viewed at the time as ill-disciplined and reckless behavior, but it set in motion the tsunami of passionate action that ultimately brought freedom to all the people of South Africa. So to reiterate, the youth are doing some interesting things. And so very quickly to India, the recent spate of protests by students against the Citizen Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens has sparked an interest in youth activism and student politics. And their role in post-colonial Indian history, Indian youth have been fervent in protesting against injustices and engaging in student politics. Many of the current politicians and Indian leaders were once student activists themselves. So the youth are not just a bunch of saucy, ill-disciplined, unintelligent, illiterate, with exception, rebels. However, there are exceptions. As they've been portrayed over the centuries, they do in fact make some interesting things happen. Thank you for listening to me, and
Vashib, are you trying to share a screen?
no, I said my speech. Did something go wrong?
No, that's fine. I see your video is off, but that's great. So Vashib, you're raising the point that a lot of the youth are doing very interesting things and they change the world
Yes.
and they take up issues. Now, do you think in South Africa, you would like to change something?
I would like to change the state of policy, the state of poverty, and the general state in many aspects. The youth has the potential to make South Africa a global power if if everything.
Yes, that's a very interesting point. And how do you think we can actually should like to do in the other, you think we should be doing here? How can we
We can
help?
little things in terms of climate change, for example. We can switch off the lights when we're not using a certain part of the house. We can walk if the place is within walking distance. We can help out the poor when we can. These will all make a small but significant difference.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like we're getting quite a bit into what you'd like to do. What are you doing at school at the moment on any of these things?
Well, for school, we have to, it's compulsory, which is a very good thing, for every single boy to commit 18 hours to community service. Clearly, do charitable. We often raise money to help out the community. And once I reach, for example, grade 10, we will be all going out to your community, such as Khayelitsha, and helping build homes for the poor.
Okay, so this focus on others in the country who do not have as much as we have is a very important thing for you.
Yes, it is. We have to be appreciative of what we have. And we have to realize that we are part of the lucky few who won the lottery, if you think about it. While many lost out and live in much more humble environments.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Vashiv. I think I'm going to open it up. Does anybody want to ask any questions to Vashiv, share any comments? If you do, before Swamiji, I see Swamiji wants to say something, but we'll give you the last word. Swami else wants to say something, because Vashiv is raising an important point that youth think differently. Youth can really bring about change, and the focus of youth should be ending poverty and really sharing and caring in terms of protecting each other and the environment. Is there anybody? Please raise your hand if you'd like to say something. Their hand. Aarti Ben, please go ahead.
Namaste Karuna. First of all, Namaste Swamiji. First of all, I want to really compliment Vashiv on his presentation. I am so impressed that at such a young age, he wants to consider those that are not in a position, compared to us. So Vashiv, 100 points to you there. We would love to hear more from you and how we could help you. I am speaking on behalf of the Arya Samaj in Durban. We would love to help you in any way possible. So please let us know. Because what you're doing is in keeping with one of our principles, which is making sure that others are more comfortable and happier than we are. Thank you, Vashiv.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aarti Ben. Perhaps Usha Ben is also on. And maybe I need to just share that both Vashiv and Kashfi have done the Vedniketan exams, and they were telling me a lot about what they read in those books. Sunita, would you like to say something? Kashfi, do you want to say something, seeing that you're in front of Mom's computer? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Okay.
She asked my mom.
Oh. What do you want to say?
Can I
Sanchi,
say
you yes, sure, Sanchi, you're welcome to say
that
something.
to tell everyone that I help my friends at school when they need help.
Okay. So you do help your friends.
Yes, when the teacher's gone.
Okay, that's great.
And I also read them stories.
Okay, thank you for that, Sanchi. Friends, I need to share with you how this event came about. I was discussing all the VBS webinars with the family, and Sanchi felt very bad that she wasn't on a webinar. So this is how this webinar came up, but Ujala, I know she's on, and welcome back, Ujala, to the virtual bridge series. When Ujala and I conceived what should be done to look at finding meaning in the current context, Ujala threw a challenge to me that we need to find the younger generation. So Ujala, here's the younger generation. And we obviously now going to move on to the next panel, which I think, Manita, you should introduce. So if Manita could come on and introduce it. Aarti, do you want to say something still?
Yes, Karuna, you were supposed to get Swamiji on.
Oh, thanks for reminding me, Swamiji, please, sorry about that.
No problem, no problem, no problem. I just, I want to say, Vashif, you know, in many respects, you've really hit the nail on the head. And you mentioned very, very pertinent things, you know, about passion and energy and being outspoken and vocal. And, you know, sometimes whether the actions are perhaps need to be toned down, whether it's for the right, definitely for the right reasons, and whether the actions are in the right way or not, obviously that still lies as a controversial note. But being outspoken and vocal with issues that are really the need of the day to rise up and confront. You've raised these issues very importantly. And what I'm going to, rather than make a comment, what I'm going to ask of you is that, you know, we're trying to build a revitalized or redefined narrative in the way we need to take spirituality going forward. Because sometimes we lose focus on what it is that we're trying to work towards. We get lost on focusing on tangible things rather than the essence of what we're trying to get out of it. And much of it is how we translate what it is we do on a daily basis to those that we're trying to affect out there, the greater community at large, the greater social rights issues and social justice issues. So as I said, it's important that we get all of your voices collectively together into what we can do to redefine this narrative. So my request to you is to collate a list of programs you think that as a faith-based institution, you think we should focus on and start embarking on, because ultimately it is your generation that is going to take the Samaj going forward. The platform is being given by the current leaders of the Samaj. But again, we are here today. Tomorrow, what happens tomorrow is going to be in your hands. But in order for us to define that tomorrow and to transition to that tomorrow, we need to be able to present with our leaders today the type of vision we see, not only as the Samaj, but also as an Indian community or as a community here in South Africa, that we need to embark on to sort of redefine our tomorrow. So when we meet, or even if you just email us, you can email me, Swami Vedanand at adisamajsa.org, or even straight to our administration offices. But put together what you feel are programs that we can and must embark on to be able to translate into actual positive change in society, as you've spoken about. I think it's really important. Thanks, Vashif.
Yes, I will do. Thank you.
Apologies, Swamiji. But I
Not
think
at all, not at all.
looking at your photograph where you look so handsome and looking at you after
Oh,
you've
no.
recovered from your illness, it's a big difference. So, friends, we're going to move to the next session, which Manita is going to announce to us.
Thank you again. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Vashiv, for your inputs, your presentation as well. Thank you. You know, Vashiv, I think that you've brought forth a community mindedness, which I think sometimes we're doubtful as to whether the youth possess or even consider. You know, sometimes the youth are viewed as rather self-absorbed, and I'm heartened by your input and your presentation, in that you bring out the community mindedness not only of your public persona in terms of your school involvement, but also your personal preferences and what you lend your time to, and it's really encouraging. And I think that this is something that youth can definitely give more energy to and more time and consideration to. Sanchi, your input definitely indicates that no matter how old you are, no matter what your resources are, everyone can do something. And so by that, we create and build our communities stronger, better, wiser, etc. So thank you. Swamiji, your input has been really, really important because it's crystallized all of the talking that we're doing so far today in asking us to galvanize these thoughts, put them down in a sort of commitment paper and an invitation to action. And that really comes down to the crux of what we want to achieve out of these VBS sessions. We don't only want to be a talk show, but we want to make it a springboard for action, for community-based projects, for knowing where we must channel our energies and our efforts going down into the future. So our next session then, it feeds very nicely into, and our next session is a discussion with Vandana Satgur and with Rajiv Vedalankar. And the next discussion is titled The Future. It's ours to shape. Welcome to our speakers, and Karnapur, over to you.
Thank you very much. Friends, we're now going to hear from young adults. We've heard from people who are very involved in their schooling career, but they're interested in doing something in society. And now we're going to hear from young adults. I'd like to welcome Vandana Satgur. Vandana, please put your video on. Thank you. And Rajiv Vedalankar. Rajiv, are you on? Thank you, Rajiv. Okay, so these are the young adults who I think have to hit the road running, because they can see that the generations that are going to take over from them actually are busy doing robotics, AI, they into music, they're into crafts, they're quite active in terms of understanding what needs to happen. So your generation, Rajiv and Vandana, you're going to have to really take charge of the organization, because the people coming after you are preparing from now. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything about them. I think it's best that I leave them to tell you who they are and what they're doing. So I think I'd like to ask Rajiv to start. If you could tell us a little bit about your work experience currently and your life as a student. What was it like?
Namaste, Karuna-ben. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rajiv.
Okay. Before I get on to that, let me just start off by saying that the three young children that we heard from earlier, it's really good to hear where they're coming from in terms of how they think about things, because that's one of the most important things, is to understand the way they think, so we know in which direction they're actually going. And they look like very energetic and vibrant youth at that age. by doing a lot of athletics and playing instruments and stuff. I did that, not as much as them. Though I probably played a sport here and there and an instrument, the tabla before, but that was a long time back. So it's very good to hear from them. I'm content enough to know that they kind of have their own vision at that age. So yes, so university life for me started off way back like about 9 years ago. And probably getting into the new world, coming out of a different type of habitat of school and stuff into another world that you don't even know about can be a bit overwhelming as well. But the good thing is that with people around you, by making new friends and stuff, by talking to lecturers or teachers, you sort of get accustomed to your surroundings very quickly. And fortunately, in my case, so it was a bit of a smooth transition, although I'm not sure, most of you may not know that I was ADHD positive, but I've managed to grow out of it, which I'm grateful for. And then qualified in 2019 in architecture. So at the moment, I'm currently working in Ballito for an architecture firm. And in terms of the work environment, it really broadens your knowledge with the people that you meet. I feel in terms of wherever you go and the way your life is, every person that you meet always allows you to grow in a different manner. And you obviously, by making friends and stuff like that, keeping in touch, it actually allows you to become a better person. You look at things a lot differently. You become a lot grateful for things that you have, and you also think about things that you can do as an individual as well. But yeah, that's from me.
Thank you, Rajiv. Vandana, would you like to share a little bit about your work experience and your life as a student? Please unmute yourself.
Namaste, Auntie Karuna. Thank you for inviting me here today and for asking me to participate. Even though I am categorically a youth, I feel very old. But no, thank you for allowing me to share for the day. And let me also just start by saying, like, you're right, the youth that are going to come next are really a great bunch of vibrant, young, dynamic people. I love Sanchi's confidence. She must never lose that, especially as a young woman. You know, she must always carry that through her life. And because of that, you know, it's going to hold her in good stead. And also to Vaishav, sorry, you know, all the work that you believe in around climate change and that you're going to do is so important. And we need more youth voices behind that, and also to hold these institutions accountable for the environmental degradation that is happening. So keep doing the good work that you're doing. So just to answer your question, Auntie Karuna, so I studied at Rhodes University and I graduated in 2016 with a Bachelor of Social Science degree in Industrial Organizational Psychology and Political and International Relations. And for those of you who know Rhodes, it has a notorious reputation for academic excellence and is a cosmopolitan, open-minded culture. As it relates to my work experience, I started working in the ICT sector in 2017. I managed the skills development of employees for the organization. This was for about 280 staff members across the business to ensure operational and executive training. And I was in this role for about a year. I then moved into compliance management, focused on commercial clients in the banking legislation, also for about a year. I then moved into a role to provide technology, finance, and account management for commercial clients, also for a year. After that, I was then selected as a youth leader to attend the One Young World Conference, which is kind of like the World Economic Forum and Davos, but for the youth. I attended this in London, and it was one of those global platforms that really opened my eyes and exposed me to, how young professionals and youth in leadership roles can really drive sustainable development, and very much to what Vashiv is also trying to drive in his own work. So this platform shared a lot of young professionals taking forward the SDGs, which is your Sustainable Development Goals. And this platform really exposed me to youth leaders, both in the boardrooms and in battlefields, making differences. And it really was a life-changing experience. Thereafter, I came back to South Africa in 2019, and then I was promoted to a group role in my company, which I'm currently in right now, driving the governance, risk, and compliance functions, specifically which are for compliance in our organization around occupational health and safety, the National Environmental Management Act, as well as BBBE best practice for corporate sustainability.
Wow. Yeah, so I want to remind Ujala that when we were their age, Rajiv and Vandana's age, we actually had the National Hindu Youth Federation that we set up. And we worked with students who were at the universities then. And at that time, it was quite dynamic. We were on the brink of getting freedom in South Africa. But at the same time, the Babri Masjid was destroyed in India. And the youth actually came up in South Africa and wanted to support that. And both Ujala and I, as founders of the National Hindu Youth Federation, walked out of the National Hindu Youth Federation. So, every generation gets these things that come up. And I think Vandana and Rajiv, you've pointed out that they are new things. And the new things are interesting new things. There's BE, there's skills development, there's the issue of interacting with all race groups and integrating. Now, given that, what kind of future are you shaping for yourselves? And what kind of future would you like to shape for others? Vandana, I think if you kick off on this, because you started off with the links with Vashiv's suggestions and your passion for reaching the Sustainable Development Goals.
Sure. So I would say my North Star, personally and professionally, is shaped by the SDGs, by the Sustainable Development Goals. And just for context, for the benefit for everyone on the call, the SDGs are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better, more sustainable future for all. And effectively, the SDGs were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to achieve these goals by the year 2030. So if you think of our National Development Plan as well, the SDGs are very much aligned to that. But in fact, our NDP came before the SDGs. And I would say I am intentionally shaping my future in this direction. Given my experience, given the exposure that I've had to it. So as a practical example, whether it is in projects that I work on in my professional life to ensure inclusion and environmental restoration, or in my personal lifestyle choices like becoming a vegan, reducing consumption habits around plastics and waste and energy, and just to working towards a cleaner future. And if we look at COVID-19, it's accelerated this particular future towards sustainability in the lifestyle decisions that we all have to make and we all have to be aware of now in terms of making sure, the environment is sanitized before we go in and do anything. So that's how I'm shaping my future.
Thank you, Vandana. Rajiv, would you like to share some ideas?
Yeah, sure. So mine is also in the direction of sustainability, but at the root level, the basic level, where we as certain youth that we have, or group of us that we are, create these type of projects that need attention in terms of getting dealt with. One of them being, for example, a literal project of, let's say, an example of a beach cleanup. And all these type of things, sustainably, for the environment, the things we do for humanity, and in terms of just looking after animals and stuff like that. So we actually create these type of projects, and whichever youth are in charge of it, take charge, but obviously everyone helps at the end of the day. And when the project is carried out, obviously all the youth gather to whichever particular place. As I said, the beach cleanup, we actually have one this Saturday that a few of us will be attending. And usually it's maybe about 7 of us. Hopefully it'll grow soon enough. And we actually go to the beach in partnership with 2 other initiatives, and prepared with gloves and boots and some COVID protocols of the mask and whatnot, and social distancing, and literally picking up trash off the beach, putting into bags, because as we know, the waste that just gets washed up after storms or heavy winds always get washed up onto the beach. And that's how I feel Mother Nature itself sort of cleanses itself. So it's definitely our duty to do these type of things. Otherwise, us as the elder youth and even the younger youth that are coming, obviously will need to be aware of these things and know what to do in order for there to be an extended generation beyond them as well. I feel that if you don't look after something, and it's a simple, thing to say, is that if you don't look after something, it's not really going to look after you. It's going to start to deteriorate, and that's not how sustainability works. Thanks.
Okay. Now, there's been a number of comments that have come through, and I think one is worth reading out. Ujala has raised in the chat that it's a wonderful opportunity to contextualize the Arya Samaj and the Vedic way of life within the realities of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This could create meaning and relevance. Why is this not going down? This could create meaning and relevance for envisaged future activities. So I think basically, if we look at that, that would be quite important. And perhaps Rajiv, as somebody who is sitting on the committees, you could pick that up. I want to just pick up on something else about the young professionals from your work experience, and generally. We know that for a number of years now, a lot of young professionals have not managed to get jobs and have been leaving South Africa because the situation hasn't been as encouraging for them as it's for others. Now, what are your views on leaving South Africa? Are you thinking of leaving South Africa? Are friends in your age grouping actually thinking of that? Rajiv, would you like to start?
Okay, so the youth category of me, and maybe or definitely lower, do need to be sort of concerned, because it's definitely not that easy to come across a job that easily. I'm not too sure how it was before, but definitely now the situation has worsened. And the thought has actually run through my mind that if there is nothing here, and most likely a person like me in the architectural profession would want to continue to pursue my career in the industry rather than moving to something else that maybe there is a vacancy here. And I would really consider moving. I feel that obviously your career is important. Definitely your career is important. Definitely your family, your friends, all the values that you've had here are instilled in you and all are important. But at the end of the day, if the opportunity arose where something came up anywhere else in the world, I really won't think twice, knowing that I can create something there much better than what I have something here.
Thank you, Rajiv. We do say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. So
Yeah.
let's hear from Vandana what she thinks about this.
Yeah, the youth unemployment rate is striking in this country. We are doing so just from a work experience perspective. We're doing work with the YES program, which is the Youth Employment Services initiative and program that was rolled out as part of the whole presidential jobs campaign that came out. And so corporates can sign up to this program, and effectively what the YES program has created is a repository for almost 17 million unemployed youth in this country to look for jobs, to upskill themselves in training opportunities, and to ensure like their survival in the South African economy. So that 17 million unemployed youth number is quite, it's striking. It's stark. It's an uncomfortable number. And a reality to live with in this country. So I think in saying that though, and also as a youth having to also find a job at one point in my life, it's not an easy road to try and get a job in this country, and you've just got to work hard and continuously upskill yourself in the process. But I think that we all have a role to play in the country to ensure youth employment in some way or the other. So I'm all for supporting programs like the YES program, like the SA.Mobi program, which is being rolled out. In fact, next month in July, I'm taking on 2 interns in my department to effectively, drive some kind of work-related experience as well for the youth, because they just need that, they just need experience, and then they can grow from there. And I think that's kind of also the responsibility of youth in leadership roles as well. In saying that as well, I don't think I will leave South Africa just yet. So I'm currently not looking to leave. But if the opportunity arises, if like the Arya Samaj creates maybe a sort of like a bilateral sort of opportunity with maybe India, and where there could be like skills transfer or like bursary opportunities for South Africans to go study in India, come back to South Africa, that could be really cool. And I think the Arya Samaj has a role to play in that as well when the skies and the borders open up.
Thank you, Vandana.
If I may give my opinion.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
There was a recent survey done in my class, for example. Boys at just age 12, 13 were considering leaving the country. I think 18 out of 21 of us were considering leaving the country permanently and not returning. It shows that from what young age boys are considering really to leave the country. And yeah, shows how from what young age, such as 12, kids are already considering to leave the country.
Thank you, Vashiv. That's a very interesting point.
And it's a matter of concern, as we can't get them to stay at such a young age. What are we going to do? We're going to lose so much opportunity. We're going to lose the next Bill Gates, for example.
Yes.
But we need to encourage our youth. We need to encourage our youth from a younger age to stay in South Africa.
Okay, so let's say that keeping people alive and here in South Africa is something important, And Vandana has given some very interesting ideas so that the Arya Samaj can pick it up. And I'm sure that Aarti Ben's listening, but Prabodh has his hand raised. So I'd like to ask Prabodh to unmute himself and speak.
Karuna Ben, namaste to you and namaste to all participants. I want to congratulate all the youth that have participated today, both young and Vandana and Rajiv. So I want to pose the question to you, Karuna, as a political activist, just to brief the younger amongst us. In the year 1994, when we all went to vote, there were a group of people of all shades that did POP, and POP stood for Packing for Perth, because they didn't know what the future was going to hold under a new government. So the question, Karuna, is what answer you give to these youth of Vandana's age, Rajiv's age, around that age group, who have just qualified, they have received good professional degrees, and two things await them. One sad reality sometimes is the frustrating passers-by for them to get a decent job. And you know the fact of the matter, when in the past the shade of your skin was not acceptable, the shade of your skin today is also not acceptable. One. Two, the political situation in the country is not the best. We know that the future is uncertain. In that environment, I am not surprised at all at my young friend Steve's statistics that he laid out. It's a shocking statistic, but I'm a little bit not surprised that this is what the thinking is. If my memory serves me correct, it says 18 out of 21 in that age grouping is going to leave South Africa. So forget the Rajivs and the Vandanas of today. The Vishavs of today are still getting there. He's still in school. He still have to go to university and finish a degree or two and then move on. This is the reality, Karuna. So as a political activist, what would you tell the youth who actually are not believing, you believe in the country because it was your era to believe in the country. You worked with senior political leaders that were yours and mine's mentors along the way. Today, we don't have those mentors, right? All said and done. These people are going to go away. So it's the word that's recognized is brain drain. In time to come, we're going to have a brain drain. I'm not saying where they're going. And I'm not saying America is good because, you know, the politics there. I'm not saying even India is good. So I don't know where they're going to go. But the point is they don't want to stay in this country. What do you think, Karuna? Thank you.
Okay, Prabodh, thank you for that. I think we all will need to think about this issue. And I'm glad that we have Vandana and Rajiv looking at some of these issues. There are two things that come up here. I think Vashiv's warned us very nicely about the fact that we are going to have a skills deficit if the people that we put through the schools and the universities actually leave. But migration is a reality in terms of the new world that we live in. In terms of globalization, the migration of skills is a reality. Countries like Canada and Australia, they actually looked at what skills they wanted and they attracted people in. Unfortunately, our political leaders don't seem to have a very open view on how you accept skills. If we look at all the universities in this country, the bulk of the African lecturers in them are actually from the rest of Africa. They're not South African Africans. They're from the rest of Africa. So your situation is that you have here today xenophobia, where people who live in very poor circumstances, live in inequality, feel like their jobs are actually being taken. So we have a conundrum where we're growing the economy, but we're not absorbing jobs. And the YES program was designed by Miriam Altman. I helped her along the way on some of the thinking. But, you know, if that YES program actually works, then we get youth more involved in getting their jobs. So that would getting into jobs. And then from there, we'd move on. But unfortunately, in this country from 94 to now, we've tried to reverse apartheid with affirmative action and Black economic empowerment. And while that was necessary, it has hurt the country and the community. Prabodh, can I remind you that India also had affirmative action for scheduled castes for a long time. In fact, after 60, 70 years, they still haven't managed to really get equality in place. What was good in India is they had the rising economy. So it all boils down to how we actually build a nation. And as long as we all going to be splitting apart, we're not going to build a nation. But more than building a nation, we need to build a globe. We need to look at what skills we want to attract into the country. And if skills do want to leave the country, we ought to allow that. You know, in America today, you have a lot of Indian nationals that are sitting in Biden's government. And that's because they migrated there. So there are pros and cons to all of this. And I think we've opened up a very interesting discussion. And perhaps the Arya Samaj could have a full discussion on that. I would like to move on, though, to ask the two panelists whether they have any real ideas about what the Arya Samaj should focus on. And I think we'll start with Rajiv so he can tell us what they are doing currently. And then we'll go to Vandana, who has some very, very different ideas, or maybe they're similar, but let's hear. Rajiv, would you like to tell us what would you like the Arya Samaj to focus on for the youth?
So currently at the moment, definitely, I would definitely bring it up. And this is because I fall under it. And as I said, we carry out these projects, and I don't know if Swamiji will talk about it later, is that we sort of fall under the Youth Foundation at the same time. And through a bit through the AYL of whatever is left of the youth of the AYL, the interest actually lies in those three categories of the Youth Foundation, being humanitarian, environmental, and animal, where those things have become more pertinent in today to look after and try and keep it sustainable. As I said, the interest revolves around that nowadays, not necessarily what it may have been before. Maybe some sort of camps that we've had, those were quite successful, hoping that we can increase in that maybe once a year or when we do have a discussion about it. But it actually just revolves around you doing something and reaping the benefit out of it, not for yourself, but either for someone else or for something else at the end of the day.
Thank you, Rajiv. Vandana, when we had a chat, you had lots of great ideas. So here we go. Can you share some of them?
I hope the Arya Samaj is ready for it. In saying that, I think no, the work that the Arya Samaj is doing right now, especially during COVID, the work that you're doing, Rajiv, as well as you, Auntie Karuna, with the Zoom programs, and even Pandit Kiran with the Sunday Havans, that's very much keeping, Arya Samaj sustainable to not only just South Africans but also global audiences. So really well done on that. And I think just to touch on your comment about migration. A lot of the youth that I think were molded and shaped by Arya Samaj in the early childhood have migrated away from KZN. I, for one, am an example of that. I live in Johannesburg now, and but we also still carry these values that were instilled in us, from day one of birth. So, in saying that, I think, moving to Joburg, I feel this disconnect with the Samaj in a way, because life we all operate in a real world where we've got jobs, where we've got a home, where we've got our families, and we've got to also just focus on that. But what I think would be really cool and what would be meaningful to me particularly, and this is me just personally speaking, from migrating away from KZN and moving to Joburg was, and also what I struggle with in terms of the Samaj is taking these esoteric concepts like Dharma and the 10 principles of Arya Samaj and making it more digestible, more user-friendly, and fit for the reality of our times. And we're living in this reality of unemployment, of youth unemployment. We're living in this reality of gender-based violence. We're living in this reality of addiction and, just all of those. So I'd like for the Samaj to see how we can address those concepts, but make it through our Dharma, through our principles, but also making it user-friendly in the sense where, either through an engagement model. So what I mean by an engagement model is, sharing and driving the Dharma and the 10 principles of the Samaj, even for those who have migrated away from KZN or the Samaj in its entirety. So, and an engagement model that speaks in the language of the youth. So, for example, we've all got smartphones. We all chat to our children on smartphones. We all chat to our grannies on smartphones. So, for example, an app that sends, if the Samaj came out with an app, which would be really cool, that sends notifications as a reminder on auspicious occasions like Shivratri and Diwali, or it's an app that tells us, shares content, curated content around the 10 principles of the Samaj and around our Dharma. That is relatable, it's digestible, and it's like attractive for people to want to access. So as an example, and I'm sure we're all familiar with Satguru and the Isha Foundation that he started. I mean, he's created this global movement, and we as a Samaj have a global presence as well, right? So if Satguru can create an app and connect people across the world from all walks of life through an app with content that they curate, my recommendation and my challenge to the Arya Samaj is to create an engagement model that is as user-friendly and accessible to Arya Samajas globally. That for me would be really meaningful.
Thank you, Vandana. Okay, so we're getting a lot of rich information from our panel and even from the earlier panels. Before we close this panel, I want to just ask both of you, what is June 16th to you, and why is it a national day? Who wants to go first? Rajiv.
I'll go first, Karuna Ben. So I think the current youth may not have a great idea of what youth is actually, but in summing up what Vashiv said, because he explained it, is that knowing what happened in apartheid, which was different circumstances back then compared to what we have now, and what really happened for youth to actually arise, the youth in this day and age should reflect on what happened back then, but at the same time, the youth should be also engaging in their own means or sort of activities that they do, particularly on Youth Day. It actually could range from a lot of things. It's not really narrowed down much, but they should be really focusing on what needs to be done in this day and age, and some simple tasks at the end of the day, because complicated stuff, you actually gonna not attract them at all. It's easy to understand at the end of the day, and that's more or less how they would be involved in creating a different type of Youth Day compared to how it actually arose, and sort of improve and work off that.
Thank you. Vandana, what's your view? Why is June 16th National Youth Day?
Okay, so June 16th for me commemorates the youth of 1976, Hector Peterson, whose bravery and courage to resist a racist regime is etched in the memory of our struggle history. But I also want to comment that I graduated in a time that was challenging the status quo with the Fees Must Fall movement. So that was very much the coming of age moment, not only for our democracy, but also for the born frees that inherited it. And it is for us to own that narrative where we demanded the decolonization and transformation of apartheid legacy institutions. For me, National Youth Day is about commemorating the role youth have played historically, but continuously play today.
Thank you, Vandana. Swamiji, would you like to say something, give your comments?
I'm busy typing it out on the on the chat group here. I thought you were closing it out, but
No.
I just wanted to say, firstly to Vandana, it's I think about 15 years since I've last seen you, so it's good to see you again. And trust all is well on your end. But to you specifically, I just want to say that I agree with you 100%. And as I said, I'm happy to say that we've started the ball rolling. The platform has been built, and Rajiv, who's here, is part of that movement. But we need your voice, your energy, and your ideas to assist us enforce all these ideas. In order for us to really make it something, I think all of us coming together, yourself, Rajiv, as well as Vashiv, and as our small younger ones develop, they'll obviously join the board as well. But you know, these ideas have been going around. We've started a platform to take the Samaj to newer and greater heights, to tackle the realities that we face in putting Dharma into literal practice, right? And in order to really emphasize the projects, to bring in these new ideas, we need your energy and your voice as well. So please, Rajiv is a key role player in this. Keep in contact with him. As I said, now we don't need any physical attendance. Zoom and all these platforms connect us and come and help us, you know, set the ball rolling. Well, the ball has started rolling, but help us gather momentum and take it to greater heights. But I agree with all of you. And the only way we can really ensure that these ideas come to fruition and are successful is if we get our hands dirty, get involved, and get it done. And you've got the support. We all have the support. Let's get together and just take it from strength to strength with the support of all our current leaders and elders that are there as well. But thank you very, very much, Rajiv. Thank you very, very much. And like I said, you both together with all of us here, I think we've got a great team and a great leadership that is building for the future of the Arya Samaj. So Karunaji, by what I see and by what I already know, I think the future is in good and safe hands. And I think if the trust is there, we can really take it from strength to strength, and the Samaj will really make an indelible mark, not just from the cultural side, but from a global social side. Because remember, spirituality is not just sitting and meditating in the mountain or sitting and singing. Spirituality is in every action that we perform, in alleviating the pain of another, in ensuring that there's equality, etc. That's the essence of our dharma. And it's no use just practicing the call it the religious side if it doesn't produce the essence that needs to be carried out there. So I'm so proud of what I hear, and I'm excited that all these voices can come together and really create a structure that will just take it from strength to strength. So on behalf of myself and of all of us together, I congratulate each and every one of you. And yeah, let's take it forward. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji. So friends, before we close out, I think it's important that we commemorate June 16th and really share with everybody why June 16th is National Youth Day. And let us not forget the past that we all came from, because, you know, where we're going to go to is dependent on where we came from and what we do today. So if we could just play the video, please, on June 16th. Umesh, I'll be trying to get the video going. Thank you. We need sound, Umesh. Okay, I think Umesh is having a bit of a problem. So, Prabodh, can we share that video with everybody who's on through our WhatsApp groups? Would that be okay?
Karunaben, I think that is fine. It is a short 2-minute
It's
video.
It's a 2-minute video, but we can share it with everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I'm not too clever in technology to share it with you now, but I think we'll share it around the way.
We'll share it along the way so everybody will get it because it didn't play. So let's do this. Let me hand over to Manita to make the announcement about the next VBS and close this event. But before I do that, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who graciously agreed to participating, especially all the parents of the children. I must say nobody said no. Even Swamiji, when I phoned him and said, I'd like you to make some time and share comments and, you know, participate in this, he is very gracious and he said, yes, he will. So thank you to everybody for whatever little efforts you've made to make this a success. Manita, could you please then make the announcements and close?
Thank you, Pua. So thank you very much to our third and final panel for this afternoon. Thank you very much to Vandana. Thank you to Rajiv and to Vashiv as well for your inputs. You know, we talked about the meaning of June 16th, and to me, June 16th is a reminder about active citizenry. And I think that that's very much what we've been discussing today. We've touched on things like sustainability, environmental awareness and activism. And global citizenry has presented its challenges, but it's also made the world a wonderfully smaller and more reachable place. You know, some of us didn't contemplate leaving because how would we keep in touch with our families? And now that's no longer an issue because we can remain in touch and there's so many options. And that's important and of course we can't fight it. You know, there's been a lot of endeavor and to get to this point of globalization. And so to turn the tide is perhaps not necessarily the best way forward. It is a way forward. We've seen this being demonstrated, especially in these COVID times, with a tendency for certain nations to, for example, hoard vaccines, for example, close their borders. And it's a natural response to a perceived threat, but there are other ways. And these forums are meant to allow us an opportunity to explore and open our minds to these kinds of possibilities. And it is just absolutely amazing. The chat has absolutely lit up with conversation. I saw lots of people claiming our young people as their own. And of course, it's just absolutely wonderfully encouraging to hear your voices and to hear your plans for the future. We, of course, invite all of you to participate vigorously and actively. Rajiv, your projects are already, just absolutely inspiring. The beach cleanup, etc. We are excited, really, really excited about the future and the future leadership among us. With that, I'd like to make you aware of our very next VBS session, and I think that's on schedule for the 18th of August with a Women's Day focus. So please do join us for that. The 18th of August, that's a Wednesday from 7 p.m. Once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Swamiji, for giving us your time, your afternoon. We are in the middle of a very, very daunting third wave, so please keep safe. Stay home as much as you can. It's the safest place in the world. And please don't forget to observe all the COVID protocols. We look forward to all of you joining us for the next VBS session. Thank you very much to all of the participants, to all of the technical people and team. There's a lot that goes into putting these together. Karanapua, thank you very much. And to all of our young participants, thank you for sharing with us today. I'd like to close, please, with the Shanti Path. Om Dyo Shantir Antariksham Shantihi Prithvi Shantir Apah Shanti Oshadayah Shantihi Vanaspatayah Shantir Vishwe Devah Shantir Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi Sama Shantiredi Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Namaste. Thank you very much, everybody. Look forward to seeing you at our next session on the 18th of August.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Sanchi, we'll see you on Sunday.
Okay.
Come. Namaste. Say
Namaste.
so cold in Maritzburg.